Who, who are you? I'm you, but with twice the gains. What's up, guys? Pencil here, and here we are to do a quick discussion on whether or not true form Sukuna is stronger, beefier, juicier, mightier, faster, whatever adjectives you would like to use, than 20-finger Meguna. Literally just which one's stronger, which one has more advantages than the other, all that nice, simple stuff. Because there are a couple things that go into this discussion that could make it interesting, that could make it less interesting, things that may be complicated, things that may not be complicated, but of course, we got a couple things to cover, so I don't want to waste any more time. Let's hop right into it. What's up, guys? I'm Pencil here. Fun fact, I do in fact have it on me. I keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact on top of that fun fact. Forearms. Now hear me out. Hear me out. I'm going to say this as literally as possible. Is that a word? Literally? As literally, I suppose? That would be the proper way? I don't know. But I'm going to say this as clear-cut as possible. Forearms is better than 2 arms. Mind-blowing stuff. I know. It must be crazy. Next level. But yeah, obviously there's a certain way where 20-finger true form Sukuna is stronger than 20-finger Megami body Sukuna. The fact that he literally does have 4 arms. And we see this very explicitly explained in chapter 238, where the narrator goes out of its way to be like, hey, by having 2 extra arms, Bro can weave hand signs and he can box. And while having 2 extra arms, Bro can cast hand signs with one and more hand signs with the other. By having 2 extra arms, Bro essentially has all that extra juicy stuff that the original body, the Meguna body, could never hope to achieve because unfortunately, he only has 2 hands, which is not the best thing, but still, this allows for multiple different advantages that Meguna simply does not have. Meguna cannot use something like Malevolent Shrine at the same time as wielding Kamutoke and Kinten, the spear that he originally had. That was something only the original Sukuna could do, the true form of Sukuna. That is an advantage that's massive, because imagine you're getting hit by, let's say, a cleave, or a dismantle, or a whole bunch of them in the case of Malevolent Shrine. Meanwhile, the upper hands of Sukuna are striking you with lightning. Wouldn't be the most fun of times for just about anybody. Another thing that true form Sukuna has over Meguna as a superior physical form is the double mouth thing. Now, admittedly, I'm still not 100% sure how it works, like on a biological level. But considering we're dealing with a world of curses, monsters, beasts, demons, whatever adjectives you'd like to use, or whatever nouns you'd like to call them, yeah, let's just ignore the fact that, like, where that second mouth is, and we know it is a full mouth, he can munch through it, and there is, like, depth in there. Let's just ignore the fact that, like, his small intestine, his large intestine, his stomach, his diaphragm, all that just shouldn't work, and his lungs should actually be twice as taxed. Let's just take 238 at face value and understand that none of his bodily functions are at all perturbed, and thusly, he can talk to you as he summons an incantation. And considering Sukuna is one of 3 characters in the entire series outside of Yuta, Kenjaku, and himself that can wield multiple techniques at the same time, having twice the mouths, having double the head. Does he have 2 brains? We know the 2 mouths, but like, does he have 2 brains? How crazy is that brain? But regardless, having 2 mouths allows him to chant with one mouth and speak with the other. Now, notably, speaking is the most generic use of it, but considering we know that Sukuna has multiple techniques, he could literally chant out the spatial slash with the lower belly, and then with the one that's on his face, he could chant out something like the flame arrow. He could say, box open. He could, who knows, maybe say, with this treasure I summon, if Maharaga was still alive and if he still has access to the 10 shadows. But that is another massive advantage that Meguna simply does not have. If Meguna is speaking to you, Meguna cannot suddenly fire off something at you. If Meguna is chanting something, he can only chant one thing at a time. And while that's still good, pretty much everyone else in the entire verse, except for like, can Yuka, I mean, I guess that's the fused name. Can Yuta, can they do multiple things at once? We've never seen Rika imbued with a technique yet. But maybe she can. Maybe she can. If she can be imbued with the technique, then maybe Yuta is the only other character. And I guess technically Kenjaku, but Kenjaku wouldn't be using multiple of his own techniques. He would specifically be using technique of something else, having it use his technique and using his own technique at the same time. But I do believe Sukuna is the only character in the entire series, true form Sukuna, that can spitball multiple things at once and just generally overwhelm you. And realize these aspects are not entirely independent of each other. Just because he's speaking with one mouth, speaking with another mouth, chanting two separate incantations at the same time, doesn't mean his brain is at all hampered. We see him casually speak and use the bottom mouth at the same time. So somehow his brain is wired good enough that he can speak two things at these separate times. But it's also very likely that he can punch you with the lower set of arms, or if he's wielding both of his weapons, he can strike you with lightning as he's stabbing you, as he's chanting one mouth and chanting with another mouth, meaning in a one-on-one, there's pretty much nothing better. Like, if you are fighting Sukuna, it's as if you're fighting like four people. Because he can activate everything simultaneously. Well, admittedly, we don't see him just yet wielding two curse techniques at once. He is yet to be pressed to, but considering what the narrator implies during 238, it wouldn't be too unreasonable for him to launch out a flame arrow with the upper set of arms as he's wielding Kamutoke with the lower set of arms, as he's chanting out a cleave and dismantle slash, aiming with one of the lower set of arms. He could stack a bunch of things on top of each other, which makes true form Sukuna's form just inherently superior as a sorcerer to his base state, to Meguna. Unfortunately, don't get me wrong, Meguna is still extremely skilled as a sorcerer. It's literally the same person. Like, it's just the same guy, just in a different body. But the true form body is simply so much better as a conduit for sorcery that it's nigh on uncomparable. Like, imagine if Meguna could use Cleave and Dismantle at the same time as he uses the 10 Shadows. Just same time. Not having to imbue one to his domain or anything like that. No, he could just use them both at the same time. He could summon, let's say, I guess Maharaga. He could use the wheel. He could summon Maharaga with the upper set of arms and then use Cleave and Dismantle with the lower set of arms. Or use Kamutoke with one lower arm and then fire off something like a Cleave or Dismantle with his other arm. The freedom and flexibility that's provided by true form Sukuna, sorcery-wise, is so much clearer than pretty much anyone in the verse can offer. Even people who have multiple conduits, such as Yuta with Rika or Kenjaku with his curses, even people like that cannot reach the same individual level of sorcery because they are specifically wrought. Is it? Yeah. Literally speaking, they are relying on external factors. While Yuta and Rika are intrinsically tied to one another, they are still quote-unquote and technically separate entities. It's why fully manifested Rika cannot exist consistently, and it's likely why unmanifested Rika isn't just constantly Chad floating behind Yuta being like, yeah, you see me? See these sharp nails? You know what I'm about to do to you? You know what I do to him? I'll do it to you. Yeah, so obviously, Yuta, the only person who's technically close enough, considering Rika is an extension of his curse technique, if not his curse technique personified. And Kenjaku still falls into the same issue. Sure, he has cursed spirits. He has special grades. He can likely use his abilities alongside these special grade curses, but still that's a separate conduit. Sukuna, true form Sukuna, he can do it all in one. It's a 2-for-1 special. Realistically, at max potency, if he's wielding Kamutoke in one hand, then his spear in the other, let's say those are both the upper hands. We don't know what the spear does, but let's say it has a special property, Kamutoke has a special property. He can then send off a cleave with one hand, a dismantle with the other hand for the lower arms. So he can deal with both inanimate objects and the other type of objects, that good juicy stuff, the ones with cursed energy. And at the same time, he can chant out something with the lower mouth to amplify the cleave, and he can chant out something with the other mouth to do whatever with his other curse techniques, because who knows how many he has. True form Sukuna, in comparison to Meguna, is just in an entirely different league as a sorcerer. Unfortunately, that's why Kashimo, the moment he saw that immaculate, juicy, scrumdiddlyumptious, four-armed, four-eyed, but the moment he saw that, he was like, whoa. Sukuna, you got me feeling some type of way, bro. Why are you so beautiful? So obviously, as a sorcerer, all that, Pretty much clear. 238 explicitly glazes true form Sukuna for that fashion. But there's another question we gotta ask. Is true form Sukuna explicitly stronger than Meguna? Now you may be wondering, Pencil Man, what you mean by that? And to answer, I ask you, who do you think hits harder? Who do you think is more Speedy Gonzalez? Who do you think is more durable? Do you think that Meguna and Sukuna, the true form of him, are the exact same stat-wise? It's just that on an aesthetic level, the extra arms and extra mouths and extra eyes and extra other things that Ume really, really likes are just that, aesthetic differences? Or do you think that due to the nature of this new form, he is now physically stronger? Now, the common idea is that it doesn't really matter. Like, it is just an aesthetic difference. A lot of people, at least based on what I've seen in my comment section, what I've seen in comment discussion online, a lot of people 100% believe that, oh, well, no, it doesn't actually really matter that he's in a new form physically. It's not like his stats get any better. And I'm gonna have to fundamentally disagree on that. Mainly because of at least my personal understanding of how cursed energy reinforcement works when in regards to a physical vessel. Now, don't get me wrong. There are definitely numerous inconsistencies to this. Like, there's weird stuff. Like, technically, based on what I'm about to say, Hikari should be number one in the verse because he has infinite curse energy. So, like, don't get me wrong. This is going to sound weird, but I always reference back to what Yuta Okotsu said in his battle with Yuji Itadori. If you remember, Yuta Okotsu very specifically explains when Yuji's so shocked to see the raw physical power that Yuta can emit and the raw speed that he has, Yuta's like, oh, yeah, sorry. I know I don't really look like all that, but... And you're right, I can't even lie to you, bro, because I'm really on the physically weaker side. Like, I spent my whole childhood in the hospital, dog. That and gains do not really mix. And while, I was up in Africa eating good, Miguel's trying to get my gains up too much, it's really not, I'm not built for that. You know what I'm talking about? My metabolism is through the roof, and, like, a solid 95% of my calories go to Rika. So, thusly, I'm pretty physically weak. But guess what, buckaroo? I make up for that with my insane amounts of cursed energy. Guess what? I have even more than Satoru Gojo Sensei. And thusly, I'm able to replicate physical feats that are far beyond what would be my base state. And the reason you're likely able to keep up with me is because you have a much stronger physical base state than I do. But unfortunately, our cursed energy totals are entirely different. And that's where my big argument comes from, where I think Sukuna, in his truest form, is faster and stronger and more durable than Meguna because of the differences in their physical bases. Now, don't get me wrong. If you were to put me with my 2'8" self up against Megumi, that man is 5'9". Let me get the Googler. How much does he weigh? Megumi Fushiguro, I believe he is 5'9" and some pounds. But let me see if I can get the details on Broski's weight. He is 5'9", 175 centimeters. Jeez, bros. Actually kind of tall. And 60 kilograms. For my people who do not know kilograms, 132 pounds. I weigh like 25 pounds. Trust me, your boy's not like that. But Megumi Fushiguro is well built. We literally see when Sukuna's in his body post Angel trying to get him up out of there, Meguna is ripped. Like, bro is lean, cut, like perfectly like Meguna, honestly, I see where all them Toji genetics came in. Let's just say that. And bro was only 16, I believe, by the current time of the narrative. Oh wait, no, he's 16 by the current time of the narrative in the manga now. But the time where he was originally possessed by Sukuna, yeah, he was still 15. So bro was nowhere near the prime of his life. He probably still had some more growing to do. He probably still had some more gains to get. Like, bro, he had a long way to go still. So don't take me saying Meguna is physically weak. But what I am saying is when you take this 5'9", 132-pound man and you put him next to this probably 300-pound, 8-foot, nothing but pure straight rippling. I sound so much like Ume and Kashima right now. It's crazy. Am I really glazing four-arm Sukuna like that? But I kind of got it. Like, look at the beef difference. There's no way I can say this without it sounding awkward. And whatever. You look at the beef difference between the two of them. Sukuna's like much taller. He's much beefier. He has so many extra gains. He's pretty much just as shredded. Like, don't get me wrong, he does look a little chunky, but I blame that on like the mouth, like needing like a lower and upper lip. I don't think he's actually like anywhere out of shape. Bro is built perfectly. A lot of people really want that Sukuna physique. And with that being the case, we know, based on what Yuta said to Yuji, if you have two people with the same amount of cursed energy, and you were to give both of those people different base physical stats, whoever has the higher physical base will be able to do more physically than the person who has the lesser physical base. That's at least my understanding of what Yuta said. In my opinion, that is why it makes sense for me that Yuta, if you think he's lying, that's fine. If you think Yuta's a humble guy who's only gassed on Hikari, that's fine. But this is how I always rationalized Hikari being stronger than Yuta when on a roll or consistently in jackpot. Why? Because Yuta's main perk is his boundless cursed energy. What does Hikari get when he goes into jackpot? Literal boundless cursed energy. More boundless than even Yuta. Yuta doesn't actually have boundless cursed energy. He realistically doesn't have anywhere near boundless cursed energy because he has less than half of Sukuna's, according by his own estimation. And we see him run out, admittedly over like a weird period of time. But still, we see him run out. This is a thing that can happen. But Hikari's never runs out. He's always in that boundless state, while Yuta's in that boundless state before he starts healing or using techniques or firing off cursed energy. So that's how it made sense to me. Hikari is, I think, a year older than Yuta, an 18-year-old, a third year, with nothing but straight rippling gains. You know Hikari is, I don't know. I don't think Hikari has stats on the wiki. Let me double check. He's the second lookup. Hold on, let me see. I don't believe we have Hikari Kenji's stats. Yeah, we don't have any of his physical stats. But he is beefier than Yuta. Bro has the most immaculate gains. We don't know how Yuta's gains look like that. So thusly, him having infinite cursed energy, the same thing that Yuta has, if not better, and they have to compare physical bases with the same perk, then that means Yuta would have lesser durability, less physical reinforcement, and less raw strength than Hikari. And you can even argue we kind of see this with how Hikari treats things like shipping crates and just punches right through them. Meanwhile, Yuta's throwing cars around. So, in terms of that, the reason I covered all of that is to translate it back to Meguna versus true form Sukuna. Meguna would likely not be as fast, as strong, or as durable simply because he has a weaker physical base. Not just because he's literally missing an extra set of limbs, but also because his limbs are just generally smaller. The cursed energy level should be uniform. I will admit that. I do not, as crazy as it is, I do not believe that a full-power 20-finger Meguna has any less cursed energy than in fact, nah, because they're still in the same vessel. But I wouldn't believe that Meguna has any less cursed energy than 20-finger true form Sukuna. But I do believe their physical bases kick in to where Meguna would be more durable, faster, stronger than, not that I say Meguna, true form Sukuna would have more durability, be faster and stronger than 20-finger Meguna, simply because of the difference in their physical bases. And unfortunately, the big issue with this is that we have no way to confirm this. Not at all. Because ultimately, the one metric that exists across both was not remotely fair, at all. The Meguna, the 20-finger Meguna that Kashimo encountered, was missing a hand, could barely do any RCT, was likely low on CE. Bro was in shambles. So the fact that 20-finger Meguna is getting tagged and hit by true form Kashimo or I guess technique Kashimo. It's weird to call it true form, but I think that manga calls it true form. The fact that Kashimo was able to attack Meguna but unable to attack 20-finger true form Sukuna, kind of a non sequitur. 20-finger true form Sukuna seems to be entirely refreshed. That seemed to be his sensu bean, so he should likely be back at cap stats. Meanwhile, Meguna was at like this much mana meter. So it's hard to compare the two, but I think with the examples previously presented of Yuta and Yuji and Hikari and all the ways that the curse energy being uniform compares across physical bases, that's where I think you can get the argument that overall, in every single way, shape, and form, Sukuna in his true form is stronger than Meguna. 100%, flatline across the board. Especially if it's revealed that Meguna's one cheat code is still available to Sukuna. The only thing that you could hypothetically argue, and this is something we don't know yet, we have no clue. It's in similar vein to the Space Slash, where a lot of people believe that, oh, well, Sukuna couldn't do that again. He said it was difficult, it was hard to obtain. But we see clearly in 238 that he can just spam Space Slash. It's not a difficult thing at all. Especially if you think that the wall of dismantles was Space Slash as well, even though I think it's different. I think that's just the regular Cleveland dismantle. But once again, that's purely my headcanon. I don't know. We don't get it confirmed one way or another. He can just spam that. So if true form Sukuna has 10 shadows, then Meguna's just worthless. In my opinion. He's going to be slower. He's going to be weaker. He's going to be less durable. And he provides nothing. I mean, he provides a more human-looking face. But he still got 4 eyes. If you were walking down the street and saw somebody with 4 eyes, even the biggest Jujutsu Kaisen fan would likely freak out a tiny bit, just a teeny tiny bit. So ultimately, I think Meguna is just generally an inferior vessel. Or an inferior form. Do I think it's drastically inferior? It depends. We don't really fully understand how much the physical base impacts the level of cursed energy reinforcement. We just don't. JGace never told us. We've only had light inferences. Like, you essentially have to try and quantify how much cursed energy that Yuji Itadori has and how much cursed energy that Yuta has, and see that they're somewhat relative in stats when both are holding back, and be like, okay, Yuta has X amount times cursed energy than Yuji does, but Yuji's physical base is X amount of times stronger than Yuta, so the cursed energy difference evens out. Unlike those two characters, Sukuna and Meguna are the same person who should have the same amount of cursed energy. It's just that one is much beefier than the other. Thusly, the beefier one should be stronger and faster and more durable. But that's what I think. Maybe I'm missing something. Feel free to correct me down below. I've seen people argue in my comment section before. I haven't been able to get back to all those comments just yet. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you guys think that Meguna and Sukuna are actually equal in stats? 100%. The only difference is an aesthetic one that allows certain benefits, such as the extra arms for more incantations and the extra mouths for more incantations? Or do you agree with me and think that, oh, well, no. Obviously, one's much beefier than the other, and you'd explain that your physical base does matter when it comes to reinforcement, as we see with Yuji and Yuta in their fight, and thusly, Meguna is simply inferior all around to true form Sukuna, not simply as a sorcerer. Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave buff Sukuna. Buff Sukuna in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You can support as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, I want to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Wakanda Plays, Red Wolf 4765, and Burp Skills. I'd like to give another very big thank you to our $5 patrons, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, and Demex LND. And I'd like to give a fat, hefty thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, and Idemokami. And I'd like to give another hefty thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. And another big fat scrumdiddlyumptious thank you to our $25 patrons, Igneo and Calvin Elder.